Annie had talked to Stan.
Oh, really?
A few months back. Okay, so once again, she knew where to go too. I think Stan really should give me a cut of his next book sale after this interview. By the way,
yeah.
You know,
Honest to
Kim
God.
Carlsberg. No, she sent me a book. That was nice of her.
That's
But,
cool.
You know, here's the thing. Stan knew a lot about... I gave Annie credit right off the bat because I said, if she was able to talk to this many people that have worked at Area 51... Hell, when I spoke to George Knapp once about that, I said, man, seems like you can count on one hand. You know, what's going on here? It's so hard to get these people to talk. Can't you give them $5,000 and get the sandwich guy to talk?
Yeah.
No, apparently not, right? So Dan had told me that he thought that this story had no legs to it whatsoever, really. And the point was is that, and there's a lot to his explanation. I don't want to paraphrase it. There's a whole nother hour of that interview that's going to be posted pretty soon.
Cool.
But, you know, at the end of the day, let's just put it this way. Anyone in ufology who would have made that claim that Joseph Mengele, the horrible Nazi doctor that used to like to just play with bodies like they were some inanimate objects and, you know, stick them in freezers to see how long they could stay alive and terrible things like that. And I have Holocaust survivors in my family's bloodline, so...
Yeah.
You know, I've heard about this stuff for years, my whole life growing up. This whole story, if it was told by a ufologist, if it was told by Stan, if it was told by, you name it, Don Schmidt, anybody who works with Roswell for years, they would laugh him out the back room door. Yeah. They would just say, this is absolute rubbish. Okay? So Annie Jacobson comes in and says, this is what happened, case closed. And it just sounds like a big farce. It really does. So I don't think there's much to that story because, again, I said, did she talk to, did she have any of these people lie detector tests? Well, I know in ufology they would have asked them that. I know they would have asked for their credentials. And, of course, with this anonymous source, that was the big crescendo, right? That was the big candle on the cake, which was, you know, she knew what happened at Roswell. Okay, well, from what I know, I thought all the wreckage from the witnesses were flown to Wright-Patterson. So I didn't even know how it got to Area 51, but according to this source, it did.
And you know what? Her campaign for that book was huge. It's huge because she's on every media outlet, it seems, that there is. She's on there talking about a book.
Leslie got it, too. Leslie got it, too, because she's mainstream, you know? So
yeah, but Leslie's way cooler than her.
Sorry?
Leslie's way cooler than her, in my opinion.
Well, Leslie is cooler, but at the same time, and again, I reached out to Leslie after having her on my program, and I've got kind of a cold shoulder.
Really?
She really just wanted to push the book.
Yeah.
Which I have no problem with. But point being is I always wanted to try to take it a step further. So, great, Leslie, you put out this terrific book with these quality messengers, which is really the end of the day, right? All we have left. You know from listening, can't trust the videos, can't trust anything we see or hear. We can only trust our gut and these quality messengers. And she brought off a bunch of really good ones. In fact, Edgar Mitchell didn't even make the cut, I don't think.
Wow.
He didn't make the cut in her quality control. Okay?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So that's saying a lot. Okay, this is what, the fourth guy to walk on the moon? So I think that's really interesting. But at the same time, I have more respect for a guy like James Fox, where I say, look, whatever you need from me, just tell me. I'll do it. Okay, I'm not the guy, but you are. And I told him that. I said, you are a leader type, and you were able to go to the press club and bring these quality messengers way before the King book. And he did a great job. Nobody paid attention. A couple of people did, especially ufologists.
Yeah.
But again, cracking that virtually impenetrable wall is going to take more of an Assange-like approach. If you're going to try to do it in the same buildings, in the same formats that people come out and spew lies every day, like the politicians, well, how far are you going to get? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not very far.
Yeah, that's too bad about James Fox. He does he did amazing work. Out of the Blue was just fantastic. And, he's such a smart guy, so astute. Anyway, look, we're running out of time, Jesse. I don't want to keep you all night, but I want to go back. I'm going to change gears here for a minute. Go back to last year. Yeah. We're going to slow things down, go back and talk about last year's season that you had and this particular guest that you had on your program. Huge controversial thing because this reverberated into shows well beyond the air date with Mr. Major Ed Dames, the remote viewer.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah, and he said he was going to come to town, find this missing boy, Kyron Horman, and then never showed up. This thing went on forever.
Dr. Deception.
Yeah.
God. Disillusioned. I can think of a lot of D's associated with Ed Dames. Another one that I've never said, which I'm not going to say on the show tonight because my conscience is still... At the end of the day, I still don't want to hate people, and I don't want to rip them to shreds. But you're right. That was a really strange thing. Here I am doing a show. I bring Ed on because he's usually pretty entertaining, has something interesting to say. And the guy, knowing that he has a book coming out, decides to jump right into a subject that he had no business jumping into, which is Kyron Horman case, a missing child in Portland who is still missing a year later, by the way.
Oh, my Lord.
Terrible case, really cute kid, nice person, good family, and claims he's going to come to Portland, as you know, solve the crime, show me where the body is, 100% sure. If he can't do it, then obviously this isn't worthy remote viewing. And, he just did a wild goose chase. He got the publicity in Portland, locally. He got it on the Fox affiliate.
Yeah.
He got it on KPAM. They ran with the story. Mm-hmm. Like you said, he got plenty of free publicity from me.
Yeah.
And never showed. Made plenty of excuses. What people really don't know, they seem to think I have some sort of axe to grind with the guy, and I don't. But what I do think is that it's somewhat perverted to use your military record to get publicity about a procedure, a technology like remote viewing, that when I interview real remote viewers that also have been in the same program that have served with him, they will tell you point blank that this targeting system can never be 100%. And in fact, it should never be used to say you can find a missing child.
Yeah, I know.
Ed Dames has not ever found a missing child. His own company called me to say that he was a little off his rocker that night. He shouldn't have said those things. Okay?
Yeah.
And I felt that, at some point, you got to sort of take a stand and say, you know what, let's get this out to the people so that maybe he will get out of the child finding business and stick to talking about remote viewing Mars and whatever, he can win the stock market and predict the lottery numbers and shit like that. So a lot of people, I got a couple of threats about that one. And at the end of the day, I stick to what I'm saying. Ed Dames has sent me over 4 different maps to this day about where he claims Kyron Horman is located, okay? Jeez. Now, think about this for a second. Almost every single map arrived to me via email when there was a new manhunt on television. Almost almost hours after the news broadcast of where they were searching, Dames would hit me with an email saying, this is the new location, take dogs here. Wow. And I actually did it. I actually had a cadaver guy offer his services for free. This is a guy who was ex-cop, really found murdered people, and especially 2 murdered girls, high-profile case here.
Yeah.
And twice I wasted this guy's time, okay? If anybody wanted Ed Dames to be right, it was me. The guy is a total charlatan. Case closed.
Yeah, it's a real disappointment. You know what's weird, Jesse, was when I was first listening to that episode, when he was talking to you, I listened, I downloaded the podcast or whatever at the time, and it was the first time I heard it. My first impression, and this is weird, and I can't prove it, my first impression of Major Ed Dames is that he had a serious buzz on of some kind. And it turns out that I'm probably not too far from the truth. Who knows?
Yeah, in fact, I think you're going to a place where where, like I said, I didn't really want to go. So
no, yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it there.
But we can leave it there, but at the same time, I doubt you'll be hearing Ed Dames talk about Kyron Horman very much anymore. And hopefully not about missing children anymore either.
Yeah, it's sick and twisted, man.
So hopefully I did if one good thing comes out of this is that the guy moves on and does his other shtick with some of the other things he claims, and just let missing children, which is probably one of the most horrible things. Like I tell people, you don't know what it's like to get something like cancer, obviously, until someone tells you it and you freeze in that rock state of total denial of, oh my God, your life has just been turned upside down. Everything was fine. You're bummed out about getting a cold, right? Now you find out something horrible like that. Think about what it must be like to lose your child and then just they're gone. And then to have this SOB come in and claim that he can find them, no problem. And then not even show up and use the fact that he was too busy. Now, I still to this day ask the question, what would be more important in his schedule than coming to Portland and helping show me or anybody, I don't care about me, call me a media, like I was a media whore or something.
Yeah.
Show anybody where this kid was. What would be more important in his schedule? There was nothing. The guy just, he stepped over the line. His own company was angry for him about it. What he should have done is apologized, and he still hasn't. And he deserves, the city deserves an apology. He should actually do that, but he won't.
No, I agree. Look, we're coming up to an hour. You spent all this time with us. I want to kind of wrap things out on a different note. First of all, I got to ask you, maybe you've heard of this already. Have you heard about this UFO being blamed for a mysterious mid-air explosion in Vietnam?
No, I have not.
Yeah, this just came out in the news that scraps of metal, like huge scraps of metal, rained down over like the coast of Cambodia just a few days ago. I guess some of them 5 feet long. And authorities there are saying that it was a UFO that exploded a couple miles up in the air. Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's the thing is you hear these stories more and more. I think what's more interesting, of course that's interesting, but, all kinds of questions come to mind. Where is this intel coming from? Is it coming from Michael Cohen from All Newsweb?
Yeah.
Is it coming from these people that say, that Obama's going to come and disclose alien beings like David Wilcock and these other people, and then nothing ever happens? Keep in mind, Hoagland, these other kind of guys, they never get held accountable for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult in this community to have integrity. That's why I love Stan so much, because you can't say, well, Stan, you said disclosure was going to happen 2 years ago, and it hasn't, But you could say that to Bassett. He says it every year for the past 5 years.
Yep.
You can't keep doing that. You got to keep an integrity. You got to try to keep a line like Fox did, like Leslie Kean did, those kind of people. So, yeah, I hear those stories all the time. I think more interestingly, Justin, is the stories about all these Asian airports closing in the past year.
Oh, yeah.
And the phenomenon above them and how they had to reroute flights and how, that stuff was fantastic. Was it extraterrestrial? I don't know, but the point is that it was just a great example of the fact that they could just tell the public, screw you. You don't matter.
Yeah.
And I said that to the people at the MUFON meeting. How many people in this room, show of hands, believe that they should be on the need-to-know list and that national security at this point really is just a reason for not following the laws of your nation? It's bullshit, okay? It's how many people believe they should know about these things? Most people raise their hand. Believe it or not, there were a couple people there that really felt that they shouldn't know the truth about extraterrestrials if they existed. And I said, what are you doing in this room? No offense, but why are you here?
Yeah.
And they didn't have an answer. So,
yeah.
It does baffle me, but these stories come up every single day.
Yeah.
And with the internet, it's hard to differentiate what's real, what's not. It's becoming very convoluted. So you got to stick to the quality messengers who's ever listening and is in that paranoid state. I know the state. Just know that you got to keep it in check. back up a couple of feet, or email Justin, email myself, and